morning, everyone. My name is Pam Lancaster, Conservation Lands Coordinator at the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority. Thank you for joining us this morning to learn about agricultural field drainage and its relationship with municipalities and conservation authorities. A little bit about the Ganaraska itself. This year we turned 75 years old. We were established in October 1946. We are 935 square kilometers in size, ranging from the west in Newcastle and Orono and Wilmot Creek, over to the east side within the town of Coburg, Hamilton Township, Orono Calderman, within the Coburg Creek watershed and the areas draining to Rice Lake. I like to think of our watershed as an area in thirds. We are about a third natural cover, so forest, wetlands, and grasslands, a little under a third urban and rural development, and a little over a third of agricultural lands. Ganaraska is very proud of our agricultural community, and we've seen a lot of changes over the past 10, 15 years. I like to go back to the late 2000s when the M.Sc crisis hit our cattle industry. And at that point, we saw a lot of livestock leaving the landscape. Around that same time, you had a lot of farm families making that decision whether or not they should continue with the farm within the family, or if they should pass it down to the next generation or leave the industry completely. So you started to see a lot of changes within the fabric of our rural community and how our agricultural community was functioning at the family farm level. When all that was happening in the early 2010s, you then started to see some land conversion. So the pasture lands, the forage grounds, all that permanent cover was being put under plow to turn it into row crops. You also started to see some new commodity crops enter the area. So tender vegetables such as bok choys, broccolis, mustards, herbs started to enter into our area, especially along the shoreline. And in the west end of our jurisdiction, you started to see a lot more apple growers occurring and a lot more planting of apple trees. That is, what's happening on the landscape. And then you have what's happening in terms of our climate at the same time. So we start to see a lot more variability in weather patterns, a lot more bare ground and frozen conditions, lack of snow cover, lack of consistent snow cover, intense convective storms in the summer months. So we're seeing a lot more opportunity for soil loss because of our climate change and our variability in weather. At the same time, you have changes in the economy. So a lot of people retiring out of the city, coming back to their hometown, buying up large pieces of properties of farms that were once a small family farm. And so a lot of the land is becoming unaffordable within the farm community. They don't have the equity to put into the farms like the people coming into the area do, and they don't want to go into debt. What they end up doing is investing in the lands that they do have. This may start with converting that perennial cover into row crop. It might then go to adding nutrients into the soil amendments. And then normally the next thing to do is looking at tile draining to get that the soil into a better condition for root growth and to be able to get on the land earlier. A bit more consistency in soil moisture as well. And then from there, you are now looking at people considering irrigation. We see irrigation happening in our fruit and vegetable growers, but now we're looking at it from a commodity side where farmers are considering irrigating row crops such as corn and beans, and that's all because of our drought conditions. What this means is that we now have different inputs in agriculture, which is causing different downstream outputs in agriculture. However, saying all that, the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority is very supportive of our local agricultural world, our farms and our farmers. We want to see our lands as productive as possible. We want to see great yields, but all done in a way that is mitigative of risk and damage to the local watershed. We we want to make sure, if anything, that the watershed is enhanced and protected and restored, while at the same time having productive land. So the authority supports the agricultural society, the community, through 3 different ways. The first way is through our Clean Water Healthy Land Stewardship Program, which is offered in partnership with member municipalities, where ratepayers in the majority of our jurisdiction have access to funding and technical support. So in terms of the farm community, there's lots of programming and services that we can provide. We also focus on tree planting. We can offer hands-on assistance with project implementation, and of course, education and outreach, because sometimes it's just a behavior change or best management practice that needs to occur. In terms of our funding out to the agricultural community, it is a small amount of money, but we can top up on other funding programs, such as that provided by Ontario Soil and Crop through provincial and federal funding. And really any project is considered as long as it has a benefit to the natural environment in the watershed. In terms of planning and regulations, we consider the rural and agricultural community within those services and programs. So from planning, we do give considerations to all the interactions on a parcel of land when it's going through the planning review process. And when it comes to our regulations that we implement, we have created a rural and agricultural guide to permits to support that regulatory process. And of course, we do hold up to our customer service standards to provide timely review and opportunities for pre-consultation, which is really important in the agricultural community, where they were ready to do something yesterday and have all the technical and equipment abilities to do that. The other way that we support our agricultural community is through collaborative ventures with other partners. 2 collaborations that we're involved in is the East Central Farm Stewardship Collaborative and the Quinte Farm Research and Stewardship Collaborative. The East Central Farm Stewardship Collaborative is a network of, actually now it's 12 organizations across East Central Ontario. So primarily City of Kawartha Lakes, Peterborough County, and Northumberland County, including our portion of the municipality of Clarington. And around the table, we sit as all these agencies and organizations to make sure we know all the programs and services each other offer, but also to do joint grant applications so that we can further support agriculture in this larger region, technically and financially. Just prior to the pandemic hitting, we also became part of another collaborative called the Quinte Farm Research and Stewardship Collaborative, which is made up of conservation authorities, BQ RAP, academia, and Quinte Soil and Crop Improvement Association. Again, to learn from each other, to promote farm research and stewardship. And this particular collaborative is supported through a grant by the Canadian Agricultural Partnership, which is a 5-year provincial, territorial, and federal initiative. So with that, one of the components of our project within the Quinte Farm Research and Stewardship Collaborative is fostering knowledge transfer. So this workshop is the first one. We've had some challenges given COVID to host these type of workshops, but they're happening now. And the first workshop we are going to start with is speaking about agricultural drainage. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Tim Brooks, who is professional engineer and the drainage program coordinator at Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, to walk us through everything about agricultural drainage and common law.